Bitcoin dominance going kind of crazy, and what that means for altcoins, I think, is the more important question. We have an altcoin setup right now that could be very similar to an altcoin setup that led to the November altcoin breakout, and Bitcoin dominance might offer all of the clues in terms of that setup. I also want to discuss, very importantly, Cardano. What is happening on the Cardano zoomed out, specifically as it relates to one of our risk models. This is going to be a first raw glance at the Cardano risk model. I'm already spotting, and our devs are pushing updates to these models. I'm spotting some very bullish data in terms of Cardano risk and the historical risk chart for Cardano. So hit the subscribe and like on the way in. Let's jump into the video. I want to start with Bitcoin dominance. Obviously, I want to show a brief clip. This is from October 2024. Check it out. And we have this lower high Fibonacci, this green area on the chart. So you see that's around 60% at the lower end, 65% at the higher end. And we have this rectangle now. Bitcoin dominance has been making its way up to. Last cycle, Bitcoin dominance pulled back to that area as well. And that is exactly where it started to fall. So that has 100% been in play. Anywhere in that range for me of a lower high on the macro, it's just, it would be so normal. And now, so here we are. We're in the 60 to 65% range, the lower high range for Bitcoin. And so far, this move is normal. If Bitcoin starts breaking out, and it's very close, we're 1% away for Bitcoin dominance to start doing this, and it might happen. If Bitcoin starts breaking above 65%, the higher end of the Fibonacci range, this lower high Fibonacci, then Bitcoin will have diverged, and it is doing something it has not done. It's very much possible, but I think there are very important signals happening even on the daily chart in Bitcoin dominance that we should start paying attention to as it relates to altcoins. No matter what happens next, I just want to say this before we even dive into the altcoin chart, and then we're going to look at Cardano. I want to just say, no matter what happens next, I think altcoins are going to perform very well in this cycle. And the Cardano data and the Cardano charts I'm about to show you is just such a nice illustration of that point that I'm trying to make. And so no matter what happens with Bitcoin dominance, I think altcoins are going to do well. So here's the deal with Bitcoin dominance. You can see Bitcoin dominance in the green range, the lower high macro range for the dominance chart. What I want to point out, and we're going to monitor what Bitcoin does over the course of days or even weeks as it starts really just maybe potentially grappling with the upper end of that Fibonacci. I want to just look at something. Let me get rid of that Fibonacci. There's the range. So notice on the Bitcoin dominance RSI, slower moving momentum oscillator, Bitcoin dominance actually, kind of even putting in some bearish divergence on the RSI. But more notably, I just want to point out we are in overbought on the dominance chart. So if we just look back and we look at, well, when was Bitcoin dominance getting overbought previously? Well, here's one back in February, and you can see there was a retracement on the Bitcoin dominance. Maybe more meaningfully, we had an overbought in a very similar area back here leading into November. So Bitcoin dominance was kind of going crazy back here. And if you look at the date of this video, it was October 2024. So we were kind of talking about how Bitcoin dominance was kind of going crazy back here in October. Where is it? October, somewhere back here. It's making a move to upside, but it was getting ready to top out. We could be in a similar environment. It's making the move to the upside, getting ready to top out. And if that's the case, there is that November move for altcoins. So if we go to the altcoin chart, this is everything excluding Bitcoin, you can get a sense of, hey, maybe it's choppy, right? But what if we are heading into a move like this? Maybe it's choppy, the bottoming out for altcoins. Maybe it's shorter term. Maybe it's a little longer term, choppy, but whatever. What if we're getting ready to see some type of altcoin breakout and it's kind of in play right now, something like this, right? Maybe even more powerfully so. Who knows how it would play out? But the Bitcoin dominance chart, I think, is just an extremely valuable, ongoing, just one single data point. There are so many other things happening in terms of altcoins and markets in general that we have to pay attention to. But the Bitcoin dominance chart could be very meaningful in getting signals for altcoins. You can go back to last cycle, even back here. It's like, I'm sure when this move was happening, Bitcoin dominance going crazy right before altcoin season really kicked off and things got crazy for altcoins, people were probably like, altcoins are done. People are finally realizing it's Bitcoin only, Bitcoin only, Bitcoin only. And then you know what happened. Bitcoin dominance fell. We might end up in a similar environment in terms of Bitcoin dominance. Maybe not, but maybe. Especially because this cycle, it's not just Bitcoin that is kind of getting respect. Altcoins, I don't know if you've noticed, are getting respect from an administrative standpoint in terms of the US administration and what they're doing and the policies they're putting forward for the crypto space and crypto innovation in general. Trillions are coming into crypto. And I don't think that's only going to go to Bitcoin. So this altcoin chart, though much patience is involved here, is looking very bullish to me on the zoomed out on the long term. A very good illustration of this is Cardano. So there's Cardano zoomed out on the weekly. I've talked a lot about it. I want to show you this risk chart for Cardano. We're getting ready to launch this, everybody. And there's going to be other assets on here, but I want to give a brief demonstration of this is a custom model that my team has built. Before I show that chart, I wanted to make a note of something on the zoomed out ADA chart. This line, by the way, is not a time frame line. I'm not saying 2027 is the top, okay? This is a trend line. I'm just trying to visualize something in terms of cycles. But I just want to really point out Cardano just survived a bear market, FTX, Celsius, SEC, everything involved there. I think there was a big SEC move right there, I think in summer 2023. It survived all of that. And I really want to point your attention to last cycle in the ADA bear market. It survived a bear market. It survived tariff pain. There was a lot of tariff drama right here. Many people not realizing the similarities of the tariff drama that we're having right here. There was a lot of tariff drama. There was COVID. Cardano survived all of it and then went into a bull. So similarly, Cardano has survived all of these things and we're just setting up right now. Now, in terms of risk, we've done a lot of analysis in terms of kind of the structure of Cardano, the similarities, especially regarding kind of like this, inverse head and shoulders potential setup, the right shoulder similarity right there versus right here. So we're really looking at this move here. Even the consolidation, if it holds below or between the 50-week moving average and the 20-week moving average. But so what I did, now that we have these risk models and updates are still being pushed here, this is, a work in progress. It's about to be live and available for use for CCVI members. But I wanted to point this out. And I told the guys, I was like, I know this chart isn't fully ready, but I just want to point something out. Look at, in green, we have our custom data. It's a confluence of a lot of data, but it's bringing into play a risk score, right? So around 31 right now, and this isn't fully updated, but it's updated to sometime in April, but a risk score of around 31. And if you look at this, when we bottomed out here, back here is that right shoulder setup that we're kind of looking at. If I go back to the chart, so on the risk model chart, what we're looking at is basically right here. And you go back here, we saw ADA right around a risk of like 35. And that was kind of the bottoming out formation of that right shoulder. And so I think it's very interesting that right now we're seeing a risk score of around 31, and that's a pretty low risk score. And just note, in the bear market, we saw ADA at a risk of 7. Imagine if I had this risk model during the bear market and I'm looking at this and it's sitting at 7. And historically, look at the last bear market. We were sitting at like 6, or even COVID sitting down there in the same range. It looks like what, 11, 8? We were sitting at 7 at the exact bottom. Imagine that. But right now, it's not bear market bottom. It's not bull market high. We're sitting at around 31 and is a very similar area back here. We're going to be launching this platform, everybody. And in the platform is going to be a lot of different things. Here's just this exit planner I've been messing around with, just having some fun with. It's going to allow people to take profits. We have a ton of just features on our roadmap, and we are going to be deploying fast. If you want just extreme special pricing for our pre-launch, I'm going to put a link below. I've already done this a couple times in the last couple of weeks. Just sign up, put your information in. You'll be locked in for a special pre-launch pricing. It's going to be locked in pricing for lifetime. I highly recommend it, everybody, because what we're building here I can't tell you enough. I've waited years for. I'm incredibly excited, and we have a lot going on. So that's kind of one piece of data sprinkled into this chart right now that doesn't come without short-term continued downside, right? So if we change the daily chart on ADA or if we change the weekly to the daily, similar to what we just looked at Bitcoin, we're watching the short-term moving average resistance. Right now for ADA, it's at 20-day moving average. It's just been lower highs for ADA. We might go lower. We might see a lower low back down to the lower 50s. We've had the 40s in play. None of us know what is going to happen with tariffs, with Fed speculation, with all of it. So again, just look at previous bottoming out formations. There's a lot of volatility involved in these moves. So it's just something to continually anticipate, but we wait to break short-term resistance. But all the while, if you zoom out on an ADA chart, for me, it seems very clear that we have a very bullish setup, not just for Cardano, not just for Bitcoin, but just for the crypto space as a whole. Let me know your thoughts, everybody, in the comments. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Turn notifications on. And if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like. I'll see you in the next video. Have an awesome day, and God bless.